Top of the morning to you. So I attempted to go live here, but it says that I don't meet the requirements. So that's all right. So this will be a little introduction video that I'm gonna make to this channel, Fable Publishing, and one of the reasons why I decided to write and um, and share my story with all of you, and this vision that came to me. I ha, where to start, right? So as a kid, I um I really liked, I really enjoyed, let's say, getting into trouble. Doing things that would get me the attention that I was seeking. And in the neighborhood where we grew up was filled with graffiti, and it was awesome. And as a kid, I always loved to see all the graph on the walls and the trains and the buses. And right up the block was a freight yard, and around and up the other block was the train yard to the M train, the J train, and the Z train. Sometimes you'll catch a L in there, but very rarely. And um and I was maybe 9 years old. The first time I snuck out the house, I stole some paint from the landlord in the basement, and I did my first filling on Traffic Avenue by the by the freight yard. And it was really awesome. And those were the first times that I also got my first arrests, and running away, and mom's looking for her boy. It was pretty intense, to say the least. We had our family stuff going on. Pops wasn't around, and we also had a suicide in the family, and it was very, very challenging times. And I went through a bunch of different facilities, went through a whole bunch of different schools. I mean, like, a lot of schools. And one of the schools I went to was actually a mental institution, Creedmoor, and every door was locked. Every room you went into was locked. At 11 o'clock was medication time. So they'd be like, there's a Jamaican woman, I'm there right now. I could hear her. Medication time, medication, come get your meds. And like, we'd all line up, and we get our medication. There'd be this teacher, Mr. DeFury. He was like 6'3", professional bodybuilder, brolic, yo, Jerry curls. And I come into class, and he hand me the black book, and I get my black book. He did an awesome piece for me. And yeah, it was really, really a beautiful journey. And and then I kept getting arrested and catching charges, and ended up going to a bunch of juvenile detention centers, from Spofford to NSD. Then we went up, Beach House. Then we went up north to Edwin Gould Academy. Spent the rest of our time there, and we made some really awesome connections with people. And I went AWOL a bunch of times, but I had this psychotherapist over there who used to get me out of all sort of stuff, because the doctors got sort of pull over everything. So I knew that, and I knew how to kind of manipulate the system. So at 15, I got home, and the day I was getting released was the same day that I got the news that someone who saved my life from getting hit by a train when we were bombing, when I was around 13, outside the Sufton Tunnel. He got shot, and coming home to go to a funeral, basically. So they're like, "Yo, Fable, man, why you upset? Why you crying, man? You going home today?" I said, "Man, my brother just got shot." And I, going back to the hood, whatever, to the what I was used to, and getting high. And we started getting high. Shit, we were just 9 years old. By the time I was 13, we did most all drugs. Yeah, from acid, shrooms, ecstasy, dust, coke. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot for this little mind. I'd be on the park bench throwing up, and there'd be some of the older kids that would be like, "Yo, man, why you giving this little kid drugs?" It's like, nah, that's Save, man. He's cool. And that's how everyone knew me. People all knew me as Save. And half the people didn't know what I was, really called at home or anything like that. And I didn't know anyone's name either. There's people that I didn't know their name for 20, 30 years. But hold on, your name is Mark? Man, I only know you as Orko. That's my brother. I would say rest in paint, but he's already floating. He's still here. Well, this is the thing. No one really leaves. And so I got to a whole bunch of points where I really started to question, because there was a lot of, like, say, near death experiences. I fell off the L train, fell off of freight trains, got hit by cars, fell off of fucking buildings, got into some stuff with cops. One time they say that I tried suicide by cop because I grabbed the cop's holster. Like, yo, dude, you don't even know what I could fucking do to you. And these guys walk around with a badge and some protective armor, like they could treat people however they wish to treat people. But, I was on sort of like not giving a fuck about nothing. So I started asking a whole lot of questions and, digging into spiritual life and because of things that I experienced and had seen or felt. And I knew there was more to this place, right? So I actually got into one crazy situation where I went out one night and I bombed the whole neighborhood. Yo, it was a crazy, and I'll share this story with you guys. But all in all, they, dudes from the neighborhood got pretty upset, and somebody came to really take me out. Because I took it a little bit too far, messed up some people's property and shit. And, and I got word that, people was looking for me. So I went right to where people, was said to have been looking for me. And I said, hey, I'm here. I made a mistake. I'm right here. What we can do to settle this? And they were like, you're good. You're all right. We know you. You're all right. And I said, you sure? Because once I leave here, there better be nothing. And that, everything was cool, man. And you know what happened? There was a guy who actually came to take me out. He flew in from overseas. And we were getting high together, actually. And he's like, yo, I came over here to take you out. And I'm sitting here and I'm getting high with you. I don't get this. And I said, man, I don't get it either. And I'm done trying to make sense of this place. But in that time, I made a decision to leave. And my mom comes from a small island on Croatia. Population is like 100 people in the wintertime, less than 100 people. It used to be maybe 4 or 5 people during the day. If you're lucky, on some days. It'll be a little bit more, but it was a place with no cars, no police, no ambulance. So I settled everything over here, back on Ridgewood, and went to live on this island. And in this time, I was able to find quite a bit of peace. But before that, I did have one experience that changed everything, and I met someone who showed me meditation and practicing cultivation. And in that time, I really I got to see something, like a place where we could all be, in a place of peace. And it was beautiful. But there was still so many things that held me from the past that I wasn't able to. I was like carrying the stuff. I went out one night in the middle of the night and I'm handing out like pamphlets and stuff. Like, hey man, you can awaken too, kind of thing. And I was sharing a story with this brother, and he goes, yo, easy. All that stuff, like you're walking with a ball and chain connected to you. Like, you got to let all that stuff go. And, even saying it now, I get the chills, because it brings me back to that moment. Like, yo, I carried all this weight around with me. And, all the things that happened, like, somehow I almost felt responsible, like, for the people who departed, people who I loved that left. I don't know, somehow my ego took some sort of blame for it. Like, I'm responsible for people, deciding to leave, or what the creator is doing. And I got back, and from the experience there, I got to see what it was like to have family. And that was beautiful, because I didn't really have family growing up. Mom's working and all this, and I'm not gonna go into that sad stuff, but this was a beautiful experience. And I started envisioning, what it'd be like, what kind of wife that I wish to have. And it was simple, like, yo, just a woman who plays the violin and loves kids. That's it. And And a couple years later, I met Ivana, and she came to New York, um, to to change her life from the life that she was living back in Croatia. And I was like, so what do you do? She's like, I play the viola. I was like, what's that? And she's like, it's like the violin, but it's a little bit deeper. And I said, okay, all right, all right, all right. What do you like to do for a living? What do you see yourself doing? And she's like, I would love to open up a daycare. And I was like, beautiful. That's incredible, because this is the sort of thing that I had envisioned, like having a family, having many kids, to be here to guide people and to share with them the things that I've gone through, so that we could kind of improve this place. It'd be nice to improve this world. And I know that by me having a wish to improve this world, it requires me to really improve myself. And I hadn't really done it yet, but I had made a whole bunch of steps and improvements, that I'm not going to foreshadow here by, with all the suffering and, drugs and stupidity. But, I started writing Bushwick to Broadway at that time. Cause, as kids, it was like, going to Bushwick was the thing, because we could go bombing, we could go get drugs, and we could, hang out and do all this other stuff. And so the idea was, Bushwick to Broadway. And I was writing this play, and the play was about my life. And it started when I was going to school in Creedmoor, and the dreams that I used to have of like fighting demons every night. Like I'd be in these dreams, like heavy dreams, and these demons be coming at me, and I'd be tearing them apart. I'd be just destroying everything, flying around like some superhero. And I really felt like I was some superhero till someone almost cut my finger off. That kind of changed things a little bit. So, and then the story evolves, and it goes through all the different things. It goes back to childhood, how it's really wild, looking for my father. I was a little kid looking for my father, man. My father was at home still, but I was walking around asking strangers if they have a father. Like, yo, you got a father? You got a father? And they'd be like, yeah, I got a father. Like, you want to be my father? Yo, my mom pulled me like on this leash. She'll pull me like, yo, like, he's crazy. Don't worry about him, sorry. Yo, it's hilarious. In some ways it's hilarious, but yo, it was also kind of sad too, because what I was looking for, I didn't realize. But it came to me later. Pop actually asked me, he goes, did you ever find him? I said, yeah, I found him. And then I started writing. So the story was coming together. I had lawyers. I had this real beautiful vision for putting together this thing called, at first it was called Hip Hop Wars, because this is the culture that we grew up here with, hip hop, breakdancing, MCing, graffiti, turntablism, beatboxing. Like that was that meant more to me than anything. It wasn't because we didn't come here bringing our culture. So we came here, I'm first generation here, on New York. And that was the culture that I grew up, and all the people that were around me. That's what we were interested in. So I had this beautiful idea, and I'm seeing this volunteer lawyer for the arts, and they got all this, different protocols or whatever, and different things that they're telling me, like, you can't copyright an idea. And, and that makes sense to me, because why would I want to copyright an idea? Because then I'm going to lock an idea in that was given to me. It's not mine. It was given to me, to see if I could accomplish it. And I'm going to hold it on a shelf somewhere and make sure that no one else can do it. And I was doing my best to pull this whole thing together. And I had the lawyers, and I had this thing written. I had a manager. Everything was coming together. And then Courtney came through from the block. Court to God. Maybe some of y'all know Court to God. The one. He was taking apart computers and putting them back together before his 10th birthday. And it was really, really genius of him, 'cause he would take pictures like no one would do a filling. He'd take a picture of his stuff and he'd be like, yo, look, I put your filling on a t-shirt. Like we could do something here, And he was definitely a visionary. So I saw him on the block. Yo, he's come through his big fro, like, yo, what's up? Yo, yo, I'm working on this thing. Yo, we linked up, and we were sitting there, burn some, have a drink, whatever, relaxing, and just going through all these ideas and sharing our stories of the things we've been through. We've been in Hollywood. He edited videos for 50 Cent, Tim McGraw, Alicia Keys. He went out to the Bahamas. They flew him out to the islands. And he was also editing for Penthouse for years. He also did some other weird stuff, but whatever. It was all a part of the business and the game that he was doing. So it was what it was. It was business, and wherever you could get money to be made in editing, you took jobs. So he shared with me some of these things, and I was like, yo, so I'm writing this play right now, and at the same time I was working Shakespeare in the Park, and I got a scholarship from this foster program that I was in as a kid. They helped us to re-assimilate to society, and they wanted to help us, and they gave us free suits, job to look for jobs, because I never really could hold down a job for longer than a certain amount of time. It was like 6 months was a cutoff. Like after that, I was working the painters union. Like, yo, what the fuck? Where's all my money? I worked overtime like 20 hours. How are you guys paying me less? Oh, that goes to your pension and your social security. You're going to get that in annuity. I'm like, bro, I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. Like, I got to get that now. Like, pay me now. And they're like, what's also pretty funny? The Painters Union only collects for 13 months, and then they die on average. And I was like, that's funny? That's a joke? Like, yo, that's not a joke. I'm going to work for 30 years to fill myself up with 2-component epoxies, thinners, acetones, and all that crazy nonsense, and be what? Like this? And the only way I could keep my nerves down is by drinking and become... Nah, chill. So I left. But, back to the block with Courtney. So he starts sharing with me an idea, and he's like, "Yo, I'll tell you this idea, but you got to keep it keep it on the hush. So don't be sharing it." And he shared with me this idea of the Museum of Graffiti Art. And at the time, I was thinking about just getting a wall or something, talking to a landlord and be like, hey, could we use this wall and paint? And he talked about his whole building, and inside the building, different things set up. And, he was much more into computers. So he was on the computer side of things. And then I was, and I'm in construction, painting, anything with the hands. Like, I'm nice as far as, climbing, cutting trees, and, putting furniture together, plastering, tile, whatever it comes to as far as construction goes. That was my field. And his was in the computer. So it was like a beautiful sort of melding of, worlds, where, my mind complemented his and his complemented mine. So I'm like, yo, what if we did pieces, with plumbing? Like a graffiti piece out of plumbing, or a graffiti piece out of carpentry, like a cabinetry, like somebody did a whole piece out of carpentry. And in the process, people could become aware of how to sweat pipes, valves and shut off and cut offs and doing all these things and water flow in this whole entire plumbing piece. And it actually says something, you see the whole wall and it's a piece of plumbing that it'll say something. And the same thing could be said with electric, like you set up all the electrical cables and you have light bulbs and you have different things, and all this, when you look at it, it's a piece. But it's all electric. But in the process, you know how to, to cut, splice, solder, and do all this thing in the flow, and 3 ways and whatever. And so we just kept building and building. And then I'm like, all right, so what do we got to do? And he was like, what we got to do is we got to get it set up as a nonprofit organization so that we can get donations. So I've already got paperwork. I started this actually in Austin, Texas, and there's a couple people that I know that are a part of this board of directors. So he introduced me to some of them, and I was like, all right, what we gotta do? And at the time, I had the lawyers set up, Columbia Law, volunteer lawyer for the arts, and I'm like, yo. I call up the lawyers. I'm like, we're changing gears. Contract management, all that stuff. My stuff is going to be on hold. We're focusing on the MOGA. MOGA is the project. Hip Hop Wars, all that. It's going to have to wait. All right, Jonathan, whatever you need. Like, yo, they love me, because I jump in the room. I'm like, hey, what's up? All these suits, and they're like, oh, who's this lunatic coming in here? Bringing in all this crazy energy. But they loved it, because that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's nice when you see people smiling and happy, because man, life life is sometimes tough, man. But for us to smile and just be enjoy of all these little things, man. So whatever. We set up the meeting. We go in there, and at the time I was working mortgages, 2008, bro. 2008 working mortgages. Yo, I got to see the whole thing, and I was just like, yo, just like the sort of the nonchalantness of just like, they'll lose their house, whatever. I'll get my cut. And like, yeah, I wasn't really feeling that, but whatever. I was in there with the suit, all cuffed up, rocking gaiters and cufflinks, nice clean cut. No, I'm not looking like I'm looking now, of course. You had a certain presentability. You had to, show. So we get into the office to meet these lawyers, the students, and this is basically they set up a system where students of the class set us up as a nonprofit organization for free, and the professors who they're in this for a long time, so they assist them and guide them through the process. And but they got to sit down with us and hear our case and to see if it's a worthy case of even taking, that these guys are actually going to do something, because you got a whole bunch of people want to set up nonprofits and for their own sort of nonprofits. You start looking into nonprofits and you're gonna see what you find. But we were a little bit aware of this thing because people run all sorts of stuff, and we're sitting there, bro. He's LA casual, right? This is how he described LA casual. Holes in his shirt, bullet holes in his shirt. Bro, like, yeah. And I'm sitting looking all professional. He's the one, and it's crazy because they would, based upon appearance, it would appear that I was the professional one, right? Because I'm all in a suit and he's, nah. Yo, he, man, when we sat down at that meeting to see that and watch him, like really like a seasoned vet, the way he spoke, the way he put everything out, lined everything, boom, 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 this is the step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. He had all this lined out. And me, I'm all over the place, man. Like, yo, from jumping, non-linear at all. This is it was quite fun, man. And we made quite an impression on them. I said, all right, Courtney, Jonathan, we'll review your case and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Like, all right, cool. We leave Columbia Law. We jump on a train. Now the energy is flowing, and original blueprints of the MOGA was basically the buildings that we grew up on, Woodbine. It's like a 4-story building. Every floor had its particular things, and on the base floor, it had its own setup, sort of garden type of thing. It was really awesome what he had laid out. Grim was working on it, and he was a part of the board of directors right from the beginning. And I was from Austin, so from Austin, Texas, he was in there, and then we had other people in there, and it was it was really incredible the way he had everything set up. So, boom, waiting for them to get back to us. He put together a party. At the time I was married, had 2 kids, little babies at home, and even it was like, nah, you're not going to no party. It's like, she knows how I am, and she was concerned for me and my extracurricular activities. So she was upset that I would even be considering to go to a party, but because the kids were so young. Noah was like 1 at the time, Leo was maybe 2, maybe even younger, but or she might have just been pregnant. No, might not even been born yet. No one might not have been born. She might have just been pregnant. Yeah. All right. So, you still with me? Oh, I see you still with me. Thank you for staying here and listening to my story. So, I didn't show up to the party. and there was things at the party that I should have shown up, because I would have saw the other people who were involved in this development that I didn't, because I only know of 4 people from the beginning. His 3 brothers from Austin, and his mom, and me. That was it. As far as president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary and directors. And he laid some things out about what we were going to do in a virtual space and everything. So the lawyers called him, and he, a couple weeks, it must have been a couple weeks or something. Lawyers called him, and this was actually at the same time that he had the party, if I could recall, could recall. It's how many times I fall and hit my head, you know what I'm saying? But he's like, yo, the lawyers took our case. They're going to set us up as a nonprofit. Man, yo, the feeling of joy, like, whoa, we're on our way. Like, we're about to accomplish something, and from the life that we lived and all the struggles and poverty, that, now we're about to finally achieve something, a value. It was beautiful. And 3 days later, Courtney's mom found him on the couch. He was messing around with some dust off from the computer. It was there's less spray that cleans the dust from the computer, and like whippets. We used to do whippets when we were kids. I mean, we would go to Finest. What is it? Finest. It might have been Finest. I don't know to recall the name of it, but we would go to supermarkets, whatever, and just like open up a whipped cream and just get a little sort of blast. And I mean, graffiti is a lot of people don't realize, graffiti environment, like we all get high. Even if you don't do any drugs, you write graffiti and you're not wearing a mask, you're doing a train, you're doing tunnels, you're getting high, man. You're getting high in that paint. We used to rack paint, like fucking cases of paint, and I'd be in the room and I'd just be doing filling after filling after filling. I mean, I was 12 years old, 10 years old in this area. My mom would be like, better that he's in house, playing and enjoying himself, that he's not outside, getting arrested. Because I'd get brought home all the time as a kid, because the OGs be like, yo, you're a kid, you might as well get it all out now. They're not gonna do nothing to you. I wish I was young like you again. I would have did this, that. So I took that to heart, man. I did whatever I felt like doing, like trespassing, writing on stuff, robbing people, because there's nothing gonna happen to me, right? I had a whole crew. We used to rob bikes. We had a chop shop on Gates. My brothers from Gates. It was whatever. Well, that's another story. But back to this one. We where was I now? So he calls me up. He tells me that we got the case, and then 3 days later his mom finds him. So, this dust off thing, actually, turns out we looked into it. It's funny, this one graph writer, he told me. I shared with him, he's like, man, that's so dumb. And like a year later, his brother departed the same way. Because it just seems something so silly. Like, yo, we're getting high off of some whippets, like something you spray to clean the dust off the computer. And it turns out that actually a lot of people were dying from this. There was people in the military, because they've been in computers, they couldn't get high, so they used this thing to get high. And it said right on the can, supposedly, like, this shit is fatal. So he was blacking out, and he was going through different things. He falling down flights of steps, and they were trying to figure out what's going on. But whatever, man. He left, and we went on to do to share his dream, and at that moment, like, I was already so pot committed. I put everything in, put everything in that I had at the time, and I was just devastated. But this is such an incredible idea. When we left Columbia Law, that little building, that it turned into like a whole entire, like, like a fucking Willy Wonka chocolate Disneyland type of thing. I was like, man, it's got to be a train in here, And he's like, yeah. And we're seeing like a train. So I'm like, no, why just a train, man? It should be like a roller coaster. Then we could do, and then we just kept going back and forth. Then just like, it kept like the building kept morphing and morphing and morphing into something like massive. And it just kept coming to us, like all these different like hits, like poof, no, it could be even, no, it could go even, no, it could get, like, so why are you limiting yourself to this little building? It can go as far as your imagination will take it. Of course, this thing doesn't happen overnight, but listen, we could dream as much and as far as we want. People say, oh, don't dream because you're going to get let down. Yeah, I'll dream my whole life away. And in that space, I'm joyous. So, I don't know what they're talking about, but, we went on to carry the institution, the nonprofit, and it did all right. It did well for those few years. There was a restructuring of the board. I ended up becoming the president. I pulled a little shady thing, and I wasn't particularly happy about what I did, but I wasn't happy with the president because I felt like, this guy's connected to all these different. He could be doing so, That was my ego, thinking he obviously knew what he was doing, but it wasn't his main thing. And this was my main thing. My whole heart and soul was into this, and I was doing everything. I started making some dough, so everything that I had was going into this, and it was taken away from the home, taken away from the family, and wife don't really like that. She just like, the kids is the most important thing. Your family first. And even, old money was telling, like, Jonathan, people don't get into philanthropy, at the stage that you're in. Like, you're just making it. Like, you got 2 young toddlers at home. Like, what are you doing? People usually get into philanthropy when, after they've succeeded, after they've, made it, so to speak. But you haven't, and you're just starting off. This is something that comes later. And I was like, nah, like, I'll do this for free. I'll show the world out of my heart, like, how much I love this and how much I'll put into this, that they'll see it. And you know what? People did start to see it. But there was also a board of directors, and as we restructured, the board of directors was from New York to Austin to LA. We had about 12 board members at one point, 12 or 13 at most, and then a restructure, we had a MC advisory board, we had a DJ advisory board, breakdancer advisory board, and the graffiti advisory board was it was the MOGA. The one thing we didn't have was the beatbox. We never got into the beatbox aspect of it, but we had those aspects. And then the final event that we did, that I just posted in the group, was 42nd Street, around the corner from United Nations. That one was it was an awesome event. We had the space for like 5 days. Before that, we did some stuff in the Lower East Side, South Side, Jamaica, Queens, and that was with Reconstruct Art. We've done stuff at the LIC, at the famous 5 Points, our first event that we did. Also on Summer Stage, we had artwork showcased at Summer Stage, on the side of Summer Stage, with artists, well-known artists that majority of the graffiti community and art community know. And some of the ideas that I shared with some of those people, they went on to do things and build things, and people would come up to me, or I'd get a message, and then just as a straight up as a disclaimer, the MOGA is not mine. That's not my idea. It's not my idea. It's this is something way bigger than me, Courtney, and everyone. The Museum of Graffiti Art, it transformed into something completely different, way out of our little tiny hands. So people call me like, yo, Save, someone just took your idea, they built the museum down here, over here. They I said, bro, the MOGA is not my idea. It's not mine. This was, and forever will be. I'm just been given the blessings, and I'm extremely grateful to have been, shared this imagination, shared this vision that I could bring with you guys. This ain't mine. There's no way that I'm gonna be sitting here taking credit for anything, because that's nonsense. So I would just kind of laugh at these calls and be like, all right, when the time comes, the time comes. And then I had another situation after all these years, marriage, focus on the family, we moved up over here. I'm sitting on like umpteen acres. I got a pond that I'm enjoying. I'm like, how did I get here? And I'm raising the kids, and the kids are doing well, man. The kids are doing real well. I did all right, as the role of a pop. I really wasn't sure if I could make it, but you know what? I did all right. And I'm grateful. 3 amazing kids. All right, the marriage didn't last, and I didn't expect it to. Honestly, really, I didn't expect it. Not after the first month, of being with Eva. I knew we wasn't gonna make it. But I took the responsibility. I wasn't gonna abandon the kids, and even now we divorced. But we still in the same spot. I ain't going nowhere. That's just how it is. Till the kids are up and ready to go. I'm here. I'm helping to guide them. I'm being present as much as I possibly can. I've dealt with all my shit. I'm at peace. I really am. I'm at peace. Like, really, like true. I've experienced true peace and love. Like, I love unconditionally. Like, this little gravel beneath my feet, walking around the woods barefoot, to the kids, like almost of equal, like you could say of equal value. Like, I just love, like it's powerful, and I forgive myself, and I forgive everyone who trespassed against me, man. And that's not that sounds some spiritual. That's no books, no nothing. This is I had some incredible guidance from some great masters along my way, and I'm grateful to have received the knowledge to be able to be in the state that I'm in, and it's a beautiful thing. So I appreciate you all taking your time to listen to this. There's so much that I wish to share with you all, and there's so much that I have gone through to get to this point, and there's a lot of people that I grew up with who still suffer tremendously. And, at the end of the day, it really comes down to a decision, a choice of what we do. And I'm not going to sit here and preach or I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to share with you the vision. I'm going to share with you the vision of the MOGA, because, all right, so then now this happened. Many years later, the divorce, I was going to walk from New York to Arizona because there was a writing conference. I was going to walk. I walked Appalachian Trail 20-something miles. I walked through the night surrounded by coyotes. Yeah, come. The first one of you will be breakfast. And then I got passage. Walked through the night. It was a moon lit. So I got to see the path, and all on the Appalachian Trail, there's marks on the trees. So traveling south, I went to 22-something miles and went through the night. And the experiences that I had through there were really crazy. Like, crazy next level stuff. But, I don't want to go too deep into that because, people start, no, whatever. I got to Hopewell Junction. I made it to Hopewell Junction. I called up my brother. I was like, I'm going to be up in the woods for a while. So I maybe want to bring me like a cheeseburger or a slice of pizza. And I'm joking. Like, I really don't care about these things, but it's more like a joke because, you're in the woods. You're not having none of that. I don't want to call it crap, but, have that comfort food. I'm gonna be eating grubs and shit. He's like, I got this job. Maybe you want to come and help us out. It's crazy. The number 2 is like it's $13,000 job. We got this thing. We're gonna, renovate a studio for it's a dance studio, peak skill. So he comes through and he actually, he picks me up, brings me back home, and it's a good thing I came back. Because at that time I had the divorce papers, so I was ready to leave. And if I did walk, it would have took me about 5 months to get to Arizona, maybe 6 months walking. Depending, I might have hopped a ride or something like with somebody, because I've hitchhiked before. And that's, it's mad fun. You jump in this car with a perfect stranger and you share your whole life. They tell you stuff they'll never tell anyone. And you could talk with them. It's like a moment of confession, let's say. And it's beautiful. Beautiful because you get to see people, because people have all these masks, all these walls that they build around themselves. And, I have a really beautiful way of kind of navigating through that to see you. because I love you and I see you. And you can't hide nothing from no one, and I can't hide nothing from you. There's nothing that we can hide. Nothing. Everything is visible. And this is the beauty of the spiritual realm. And this is what's happening now also, kind of. I'm not gonna go into that. But we ended up doing the job. I flew out to Arizona and I wrote the book. I had some idea about, like, the MOGA. It already existed. Courtney never departed. We were in the MOGA, and someone from South America was living in poverty, this and that, and loved graffiti, and the tag was Go Mad, and there's like the MOGA backwards. And it's like, where's Go Mad? And it's like he's bombing freights, and like freight trains are coming through, and I had the whole story in my mind. I imagined the whole thing and everything. And then he finally makes his way to the MOGA, and then he comes to the M building, and this is like, for mastery. And in this building, you got all these different obstacles and things that you got to go through, like on some Shaolin training type. Like, it's advanced, and not a lot of people even make it through the M building. Like, this is like for me to stay in shape, for me to stay in perfect optimal condition, so that when this place is built, when this place is built, that I could actually be able to go through the obstacles that I create. That's the beautiful part. And then there's the organics gifts. We'll go into all that stuff later. But I went over there. I ended up flying. I stayed in a nice hotel. I had the dough. I was, it was beautiful. And I wrote in 4 days. I wrote through this program that we used. In 4 days, I wrote the entire book that was eventually titled Mission to MOGA. And I had it in the computer. My mom got me this Dragon Speak, because I don't type computers, whatever. So all you got to do is, after you've written it, you could then speak into the microphone, and it goes all into the things. And this was before, it's 2000 whatever. I don't whatever, doesn't matter. And so then I finally, and then I get back, and then I gotta have 10 G's. So I had some gold and I had some silver. I swapped that out, had the thing in the mail, and then it didn't go through. Something didn't go through. Something felt off. It wasn't time, and then I didn't finish. I didn't finish, and I ended up linking up. There was anniversary, 20-year anniversary, and I linked up with some old people's old energy from the past. And one night we in the process of reconnecting, smoking, it was heavy, man. I've had issues. Let's say I'm an adventurer, right? So if someone presents something to me and it seems adventurous, in the past, I would always take it. And I'm not gonna say that I'm completely out of the water, but I know the way to control this thing, right? So we were smoking crack, sniffing dope, and well, not anyone else. It was just me. I was and smoking dust, and in the morning I had some dope, and I was doing the last little bit of it, and not needles. We never went to needles, because once you go to needles, it's like that's the end of the line, kind of. And that's how I felt. That was like a cutoff. Like, never ever go to that. And I died. I died that morning, bro. I left. I left, and something sent me back. I took my legs, like, boom, threw them into double lotus. And I never did it before. I got them both up. Boom, boom, double lotus. I'm sitting there, go into meditation, go into silence. All right, I'm leaving the world. And this is the way I'm going to go. And I came back just like, build the MOGA. Screamed that shit so loud that the whole building, the whole neighborhood shook. It was a heavy moment, man. And then I just sobered up in an instant. Sobered up. And then could have continued to go down that path. And I was like, nah. Drop you off, homie. I love you. Peace. And then I got back to the book. And then I finished writing the Mission to MOGA. And it was the story that came out was incredible. And I'm gonna read it to you guys. This is sort of just an introduction. I'll read the book to you guys. And I'm really excited to do so, because the whole point, it's like like I asked, like, yo, what do I gotta do to build this place? Like, we started from the nonprofit point, and we were there for 3 years, and the thing started picking up speed, and it was going beautifully, but it just wasn't time. It wasn't the moment yet. You know, it wasn't the moment, and now it seems like it's the moment, and everything is starting to come into place now. The people and everything is starting to fall into place the way it should, as far as I'm aware of. And this story came in. Now we got a trilogy. It's the Mission to Moga. The second book is the Animogul, and the third book is yet to be determined. The title is no working title, nothing. I'm just in the process of writing that still. So I published the Animogul, sort of rushed to publish. I go through some things sometimes. Psychologically, I create these scenarios, whether they're real or not, that there's things, people coming to take me out and all this, and it kind of pushes me to get things done, because it's like, all right, I not out of fear or anything, just out of like, at any moment you can go. Any moment you could get the call. Someone could try and take you out. You never know. Like, we was in the streets. So this shit that you done 10, 15 years ago that you didn't even know. You was fucking high, Xanaxed out. Or, you might have snuffed someone in the wrong time or robbed someone. There's things that came about like that. Like, yo, 10 years had passed. Like, it was shorty shoulder. Like, yo, like, who's this? I'm like, yo, what's up, what's up, what's up? I'm like, blah, oh. Like, who the, oh, shit. Like, what? Oh, like, yeah, oh, man. But it's beautiful. It's nice to settle those things, man, because it's all love. Like, man, that's all a part of the game. Like, we were all in the same shit. We're playing in the sandpit, man. There's no hard feelings. Like I love you. Like, we all having fun. And people want to take things to heart. I mean, listen, you holding grudges, you holding all that animosity, that's hurting you. That don't hurt me. You mad at someone? That's like you holding the hot coal. I forgive you. I love you. I get it. People make mistakes. I know I've made quite a few. I got a whole encyclopedia of them. I'm gonna write that shit too. I'll write it too for you. And this will help us all build, man, because people are scared. This is like social media. Everyone want to show the nice side. They want to show the pretty side. Everyone's sitting there taking a nice picture with filters and shit. Keep it genuine. Keep it real. Show who you really are. See, Maximus is asking to go for a walk. So I'm going to take the pup for a walk. It was a pleasure speaking with you all. I love you. It's going on, almost on an hour or so. We'll see if they'll even upload this. But we're gonna put a time together so that we can read the book and go a little deeper into the MOGA and the actual vision of it and what we wish to accomplish here. And this is not something that this is something that everyone, megastructure, outlining, graphene armor. Yo, it's a massive project that requires a lot of different architects and a lot of different scientists and people from all walks of life, man, to bring together to make this thing happen. And it's something that I've been dreaming about for a long time. And you know what? I may not even see it built in my lifetime. Maybe my kids might. Maybe, my kids. Maybe the kids might. We're not here for ourselves entirely. We are, but, we aren't. This is a fine line. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a nice stroll through the woods with this dog who's asking me to go. I love you guys. I'll continue on later. Peace.